I love the smell of yeast. It's cheesy. Oh my God, maybe I'm a cat. Meow. Hey, I'm Dr. Francis, a world-renowned wildlife nutritionist and now pet chef, celebrity pet chef. You may not have heard of me, but your pet Shoebill sure has. And today, let's cook together and make a homemade raw meal for cats. Cat people, this one's for you. Shoebills do that with their beaks. Welcome to my kitchen. Welcome to my remodeled new home. Isn't it beautiful? I rent it by the hour. I love it too. It's very expensive. My home. This is not a studio. I don't live in a studio. What do you mean? Whatever. Today we're talking about cats. Let's do raw meal for cats. So yes, it's raw. Trigger warning. Trigger warning. This is a raw diet. So you wash your hands. You wash everything. You have your separate utensils that you use only for your raw cat food or dog food. We'll be preparing this and it's gonna be chicken based, but there's gonna be a mixture of other proteins in there as well. A lot of the things we'll be using should be easy to find. If not, you can definitely find them online. You can order them frozen, you can bring them in. And because it's raw, you just mix it together and then you freeze it, preserve it, and then you're good to go for your cat. We're gonna start off with chicken breast. Oh, by the way, you can find all of the ingredients and the feeding information in the comments below. Although you could just skip and just copy paste and then you're done and leave. I'm gonna give you some extra secrets and tips on how to feed your cat for long-term health to force you to watch the video, then go down to the description so you can actually see what we're doing. And you can actually use this at home for your cat. Okay, so first we're gonna start off. So 400 grams of chicken breast. So I'm just gonna chop this up into little lines. Ideally, you would chop this up and then put it into a blender because cats really love that pasty texture. We're not that smart and I don't have a blender here in my home, which is where I am right now. So I am going to do the best that I can, but just know that the main takeaway here is the recipe and the amounts and the feeding instructions. The actual texture of the food, I leave that to you. I leave it to you so that you can actually figure out the texture that your cat prefers. And usually a blender or grinder is absolutely the way to go. This is boneless, skinless, very lean, antibiotic free, and these are pasture raised as well. So we know that there is a little bit more dense nutrients inside as opposed to like factory farming. They are more expensive though, but when I do my nutrient analysis, I just assume it's like your basic chicken. Your basic chicken, your basic. So because it's just basic chicken, if you have a more elevated, fancy British chicken, because British sounds fancy, it's just better, but you can do this with any chicken breast that you would find. So now I'm just gonna speed this up. Here we go, 400 grams of chicken breast. Now we're gonna plop that in my bowl. Oh. Okay, next, we are gonna do some duck heart. So duck heart you can easily buy online and again, it really depends which part of the world you're staying in. It may be easier or harder for you to get. You can use chicken heart. I just like duck heart because it's a little bit more dense in the minerals that are always missing in chicken meat. But you could use chicken heart for this as well if you wanted. The juice is also known as blood. Blood. I'm bathed in his blood. Okay. So we're also gonna chop this up. So you can see that duck is a lot tougher to cut than any other muscle meat just because this is such a lean and strong muscle because it's called striated muscle and it's working all the time because it's a heart. So we're gonna be using 320 grams of duck heart. So you can see there's a little bit of fat on it and that's completely fine. Cats do really well on a diet that is about 1/3 fat to protein. Fat is their preferred energy source, much more than carbohydrates, that's for sure. So that's why this will be a very, very, very low carb diet. We know that carb long term is just not great for cats, for their insulin response. Whoop. Now this is definitely gonna be a chunkier diet than I believe anyone would feed their cats. So please, again, focus on the ingredients and the recipe. But then when you're actually preparing it and blending it, then you please use your blender, because I think your cat will much prefer that texture. Okay, here we're with the hearts. 2 of hearts. No, it's Queen of Hearts. Queen of, no, it's 2 of hearts. 2 of hearts. 2 hearts, they become 1. I'm also a singer. That's funny. That's a joke. Next, we're gonna put in our liver. So liver is super important because that's where you're gonna actually get most of your minerals and a lot of vitamins, a lot of nutrients, and liver is important. Now, the secret here is if you make a full chicken recipe, it's very tough to meet your requirements. So I'm actually gonna use half chicken liver and half duck liver, 40 grams each, and they really, really complement each other in terms of nutrients. Now, this is, ooh, and then bloop, boop. The smell is real though, let me tell you that. The smell is real. So you're just gonna chop it up. This is very easy to chop. Liver is just so delicate and yet so important. By mixing some duck liver and chicken liver, you're really adding in a lot of nutrients that you would normally get. Like if you'd use all chicken, it's hard to get, maybe you would get all of the iron based on the organs that you use, like if you use gizzard or something. But if you're only using your normal heart, meat, and liver, then the duck really helps to add in the copper, zinc that's missing in chicken as well. And we're just gonna pop that in. Luckily, that one is quite quick. Okay, next we're gonna put in our fish. So I have chosen to use some super fancy salmon, but if you don't wanna use salmon or you can't afford it or whatever reason, you can absolutely use the equivalent weight of like canned mackerel, sardine, anchovy, anything that's in a can in water. Just rinse them off, make sure there's no like excess salt, and then you're completely fine. So I'm just gonna use this because I wanna make a beautiful fancy video. And I love salmon. Salmon is really important, and actually canned fish is really important. So this one does have the skin. Actually, you can leave the skin or remove it. I am going to remove it just because it makes it a lot easier for preparation because the meat is raw. There we go. There's nothing wrong with leaving in the skin. With salmon, you don't need to because of the striations of fat here. It will have your vitamin D. So I'm gonna get this up. So you need this for the omega-3s, which is essential for long-term health. Helps to prevent so many health issues and diseases, but also because of the vitamin D that's in here, which is kind of hard to get from other sources. So again, feel free to blend this. You don't need to follow my amazing cutting techniques. Cutting techniques. Pop that in there. Okay. Now I'm gonna tell you something a bit unconventional, but I wanna add some vegetables in here. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna have a little bit of spinach, only about 40 grams of spinach, and we're gonna cook this. Even though this is a raw diet, you should never be given raw to cats. So we are gonna put this in boiling water, and then I'm gonna come back and puree, chop it up, and then mix it inside. And the reason why this is important is for a few different reasons. One, antioxidants in here are proven to be anti-inflammatory, good for cats' long-term health, that you're just not gonna find in meat. You're just not. So adding this, even adding a few little berries and then just blitzing it into the meat, most cats won't notice if it's a small enough amount, as long as it's not cabbage or kale, which is a bit more smelly. Spinach is great. The alpha-lipoic acid in here is fantastic for cats' long-term health, shown to help prevent cancers, help to support liver health. I'm such a huge fan of this, but again, cook it, like boil it or blanch it, and then blend it up and mix it with the meat so that it's like impossible to find. Again, if you have a food processor, use it. We don't, so I have no choice but to chop this up. Not ideal for sure, but just bear with me here. Boop. For today, this will be good enough. So we're gonna plop that in there. Ooh. So that was just 40 grams. Yeah. Next, we're gonna mix it before adding in the last 3 ingredients. So I'm just gonna mix it all up. And again, when you use a food processor at home, this will be much easier and smoother. You can even just go in there with your hands when you're wearing gloves, just to mix it all together. Now it's looking quite chunky for most cats. There we go. So obviously this is, much bigger pieces than we would. I mean, it looks great. It's just probably not the texture that cats prefer. So now that it's mixed, we are going to add in an egg. Now you can use chicken, you could use duck. If you use quail, you would need to use about 3 because we're gonna use all the egg, even the egg white. Yes, it is safe to give raw egg white to your cat. Don't worry, they can absolutely handle it. And we're also gonna use the shell and chop it up for the calcium. Now, the shell of 1 large-sized egg will be enough for this entire diet, but you're gonna have to keep that in mind when you're making bigger batches. You will need to add in more eggs and more shell, obviously. So I'm just gonna pop that in. Boop. You can see the egg is there. Cool. So what's really cool about the egg is you can see here there's a membrane. So this membrane is awesome because it's high in natural MSM, it's in chondroitin, and it has a lot of choline as well, which they will get enough choline from the duck liver, but this has even more. So you want to make sure that this is there. Some people are like, oh, there's plastic in the egg. Girl, you're crazy. It's not plastic in the egg. And again, you could blend this up, or you're just going to chop it up, just smash it up. Cats don't love this texture of this hard, crunchy thing, so really try and get it as small as possible. So obviously this is for adult cats. This would not be suitable for a kitten as they would need different nutrient profiles and they would need a lot more calcium. So now I'm just going to pop that in there. Pop. And now we have only 2 more ingredients. So we are gonna add in 5 grams of kelp. So kelp is essential for iodine. It has some vitamins and minerals as well. And secret ingredient, we're gonna add in 20 grams of flaxseed, ground flaxseed, or you could also use ground chia seed. And then we're gonna mix that up. And altogether, this adds in all of the necessary micronutrients, fibers, and fatty acids that your cat needs to thrive. Now, what's great with this egg is that it does become a little bit more liquidy. It helps to make sure all of the thing we added in binds, sticks to the meat, which is what the cats are gonna go for. And this is a very complete and very chunky raw food for your cat that meets all of NRC and AAFCO requirements. Let's say you're transitioning your cat to a raw diet for the first time. I'm telling you now, it's gonna be a journey because going from processed kibble and canned food, which has ingredients added in to make your cat like the taste, even though it's nutritionally devoid, then going to something that's all natural and ultimately so much healthier for them is tough because it's like you're dealing with a drug addict. Like it takes time, you gotta kind of wean them off it, mix it together. But there's one secret ingredient that usually helps. Let me go get it. It is yeast. So this is nutritional yeast. You could also use brewer's yeast. This has B vitamins. It's pretty good for their gut health as well. It's very nutritious and they love the taste. Cats are attracted to the taste of yeast. So you can absolutely just take a little bit. Now, my hands are dirty. Oh, my hands are dirty. So I'm gonna use this clean spoon and you could just sprinkle some on top like this and then mix it in. It's absolutely good for them. It does help to make the transition easier because most pet foods will put yeast in them because of the palatability reasons. So this way, it's a bit more of a fair fight, and you would never even know that it's in there. I love the smell of yeast. It's cheesy. Oh my God, maybe I'm a cat. Meow. And there we go. We're done. So now you can portion this out. It's about 160 grams for average size cat per day. So you can usually do 2 meals of 80 grams, something like that. But I'll give you the exact amounts in the description below. Hope this helped. Let me know if your cat loves it or hates it or anything in between. And follow us on socials, Instagram, TikTok, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.